How low can we go? Guys, stay with me. And today I'm going to answer the question, how low can we come in on an offer and still win the house?
You better get fired up.
Guys, good to see you. Happy Monday. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you to all the veterans out there who have sacrificed so much, not just of their life and their safety to our country, but also your time away from your family and your family's commitment to us. I always say, man, my wife is committed just as much to our country as I have. So thank you so much for the wonderful freedoms that my family is now able to take part in. So thank you so much. So the question today is, how low can I come in on a home and still get it? And obviously the answer to that is very fluid. It's dependent on the particular situation. And so instead of being able to directly answer that, what I'm going to do is talk to you about some of the strategies that we use to be able to get a feel for where it is you can go and kind of how you can build out that offer. First of all, I think it all starts with doing a market analysis on the property, right? Every seller I've ever worked with asked me to do a market analysis of their property so that they know roughly what that property is worth. It makes complete sense. Why wouldn't you do that? And every single one of them bases their decision on pricing, either partially or in full, on that market analysis. Now, buyers, I would say, never ask for it. I did just have a buyer today ask me for it, but I would say 1 in 20 buyers proactively asks, Joe, what do you think this home is worth? They'll instead ask, what should I offer? What do you think it'll take to win? Do you think I can offer this and get it? But they don't base it on what it's actually worth. And a lot of times I tell people, listen, they could be asking $500,000 for this property. You come in at 480, you think you got a steal, but it's only worth 450. You just paid 30 grand more than it's worth. You also might see that home at 500 grand. They've severely underpriced it. It's worth 520. You come in 5 grand low at 495. You get blown out of the water by multiple offers and you lose the house of your dreams, right? So really what that property's worth based on other comparable sales in the last 3 to 6 months in most cases in that rough area with roughly the same square footage, roughly the same age, that's going to give you a good feel for what the property's worth. Now, does that mean you've got to pay that amount? No, you can come in low and you can try to wheel and deal and sometimes you'll get it. You can come in higher. I came in high on this home. I loved this home. I loved everything about it. And I didn't care if I was going to overpay on this house. It was worth it for me because it checked all my boxes and like 3 or 4 more that I didn't even have. They were just wants. I was excited. So I was happy to pay for this. I've also seen enough people not get the home of their dreams. And then when they go look and they're like, they'll look at 10, 15 more homes and they're like, oh my gosh, none of these are like the one I wanted. I wish I would have just went after that one. And I thought, well, that's exactly what I would have said. And, I don't want to be pitchy here because this is not going to fit everybody's motivation. So don't think this fits everybody. But if you truly love the home, I'll tell you what, this home right here, I bought this home 3.5 years ago, and they were asking $365. And I came in after negotiation back and forth, I was at $390, $25,000 over. And I remember people telling me I was crazy. It's only been 3 years. This home is worth 500 grand. So who's crazy now? And I got it when rates were 2.25. Had I waited a couple months, my rate might have been 3-4%. That's thousands, tens of thousands of dollars that it would have cost me just because I waited and rates gone up. Now, is that going to happen every single time to every single person? Absolutely not. But make sure you're thinking of all these different things. I would have been devastated if I would have come in 15 grand high, lost it to somebody else, and gotten a home that just didn't fit all the things I was looking for. I'm in love with Bedford Park. I'm in love with my neighbors. I'm in love with this house. I do not want any other house. So you got to really ask yourself if you're in that kind of situation, or if you're in a situation where you're maybe not as picky as Joe Rosen, and if you go look at 10 homes, you would buy 4 of them. Okay, in that case, let's go shopping, baby. Let's look for a sweet deal. So your motivation is another big factor. Now, third factor is the motivation of the seller. And I'll tell you, the one that I just got a request on, it's a friend of mine. He's been looking at a home and he said, Joe, here's the address. Is it worth $550? That's the asking price. I looked it up. I wrote him back and I sent him a long text explaining a lot of the details. And I said, I think you're closer to 480, 485 on this one. So I asked him if I could share that with the seller, because the seller's also the listing agent, to see what kind of feedback I get. He said, sure. I sent over, hey, my client really likes the home, but I want to share with you what I shared with him. And I sent that text to him, and he said instantly, I'm willing to come to 500,000. Now, I would tell you if I didn't know any of the other factors I just talked about. I don't know the motivation of the buyer. I don't know the actual value of the property. Most properties that are 550 will come down 5 or 10 grand. 15 starting to push it, but it's not impossible. It depends on what other interests they got and how new they are to the market. 20 is really starting to push it. 30 happens, but it's pretty rare. Any more than that, it's going to be tough, but it's not impossible. Those are all generalities, though. So for that guy to instantly on one text come down $50,000 is pretty amazing. Now, he's still not at the 480, 485 I'm suggesting, but immediately we get a $50,000 price deduction just because I showed him the analysis I did on other comps, right? And that is one great strategy to get people to come down. When you send them the comps that you're looking at and the reasons you're coming in low, it doesn't look like you're just trying to get a deal and you're trying to steal money from them. It looks like we want to pay you what the home is worth, but we think you've really overpriced it and you've got to come down to a reasonable price or we just can't do it. And it's really hard as a seller to either say, no, I want this overpriced number anyway, even though I have zero comps to support it. It's tough to say that. So usually, like this guy, I keep nodding to my phone, instead of arguing the comps, which is a much more helpful approach, they will just say, we'll move here, but we're not moving all the way. That's always what they say. And that lets me know, okay, you know you're overpriced. You know what the comps say. You just want a little bit more. And they might want more for real life issues. They might need the money. Maybe their mom's got cancer. They're trying to save her. Maybe, who knows? It could be a million different things. It's a divorce and they need this amount of money to blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. What matters is that I have set forth what the comps show, and they've either said, yep, that's right, but I'm not coming that low, or yes, I will come that low, or no, Joe, you missed these couple of comps. And that happens too. Maybe I missed something. Cool. Show me what it is. We're happy to readjust our numbers if what you're sending me makes sense. So all of these things come into play. I will usually tell people when they ask me, how low can we come in? I'll say a lot of what I just said, and I'll say, guys, really the biggest thing is I'm going to tell you what the property's worth, but then I want to know what your motivation is. And I want to know the difference between this home and what you assume home number 2 would be if you lost this home. For me, in my home, the difference between this home I'm in right now and whatever home number 2 would have been is a massive difference. It is a massive difference. And I loved this home. I would have told me, Joe, can you afford 25 grand more? And I would have said, yes, it's within my budget. And then I would have said, then do it. Are you going to live there for 5, 10, 15, 20 years? At 2.25? Hell yeah, I'm going to live here till I die. Okay, then do it. In a couple years, it's not going to matter anyway. You're going to have equity not only because you paid down your loan, but because prices have come up on housing. You'll be fine. But again, if you go back and you tell me, we don't need to buy, we'd like to buy, but there's also, we looked at 5 homes, we would have bought 3 of them. Okay, well then we've got a little bit of leverage. It doesn't sound like you're very picky, so we can go after a couple different homes and we can be aggressive on pricing. One of them is going to come in low, right? And we can tell them, hey, we're looking at multiple homes. Whoever is giving us the best deal, that's where we're going. So take it or leave it, but we're going with the best deal. And someone is going to pony it up. So again, the strategies are very different, but if there's one thing I can tell you, it's that you want your realtor owes you a market analysis showing you exactly what that property is worth and the process they took to get to it. How did you come up with that number? Because you should be just as confident in that number as your realtor is. And while you're not the professional and you don't know how to pull comps and all that kind of stuff, the guy in my seat should be able to communicate clearly enough to you to where you feel that confident. Guys, if you've got ideas for other videos in the future, I'm here every single Monday at 11 o'clock where we're talking about what's hot in today's market. We'd love to touch on your discussion, whatever idea it is that you have. Feel free to put in the comments, or if you're on Facebook, you can DM me, and I'm happy to throw it in a future video. Thanks again for joining me. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you to all our veterans, and have a wonderful day.